Hello, my name is Mark Nolan, Vice President of Global Presales. Thank you for joining us today in this virtual session on how to build a remote-first workforce. Today, I'd like to share a brief picture of our beliefs and vision at Citrix and why this crisis has really affirmed our beliefs around our platform. I'd also like to share how we can help customers like yourselves prepare your business for any future change or disruption and really drive a long-term competitive advantage with an agile, secure, experience-first approach to infrastructure, and really emphasize why Citrix solutions are uniquely positioned to help you achieve those outcomes. But before starting, let me acknowledge we certainly understand that these are uncharted times. No company, including us here at Citrix, felt like we were completely ready for what we've experienced in the past several months. As organizations looked at how to respond to the pandemic and what we've really been going through, most organizations really moved into crisis mode, very, very quickly scrambling to mobilize and working urgently to get their employees a device and the tools they need to get their jobs done from home. Often going from 10 to 20% of the workforce enabled to work from home or work remotely to almost 95 to 100%. As we now kind of move out of the crisis phase, many of these same customers are finding their footing and really working towards some semblance of stability in what they consider an extended work from home period. They're now looking to improve some of the services that they very, very quickly have delivered to their users. How do they stabilize? How do they secure? And how do they sustain the delivery of these services for a longer period of time? From a security perspective, some organizations kind of reduced their policies and their posture. And so they're really looking at how do they kind of come back and look at the security posture that they've enforced as they responded to the crisis. As we now shift this new norm, and most organizations are looking at how do they continue to deliver these services at a high level of quality, but really spend more time looking at the employee experience. It was fine during the crisis to just quickly provide service capabilities to users. But as now more organizations shift to a longer term approach to remote work, many organizations now talking about remote working for the balance of this year, and many organizations really turning towards remote work and work from home for a longer term or forever type strategy. We see this on a regular basis. Open up any news periodical, and we've heard this from Nationwide Insurance as one, and some of the financial organizations really looking at and reevaluating, does it make sense to continue to lease office space? Does it make sense to continue to require users to commute into the office on a regular basis? This is basically the world's largest kind of remote work experience. And I think we find most organizations are seeing fairly successful deployments and really looking at how do they now continue to provide these services at a high level. Let's look at one organization that's done it successfully. The state of Illinois very, very quickly deployed more than 25,000 virtual desktops to support their remote workforce in a matter of days. Just think about that. We've heard stories over and over again where some organizations, were in the midst of their digital transformation. In fact, this has helped accelerate that. Some organizations that were somewhat resistant or slow to adopt kind of digital transformation initiatives are now very, very quickly accelerating and fast forwarding those initiatives to really respond to this new reality that's coming at us on a regular basis. And we have others that are, in fact, receiving funding for initiatives that they have historically struggled with to provide these new capabilities. As we continue to look at this new norm, we're certainly faced with three unique elements. This is not uncommon to see a normal picture of someone working remotely from their kitchen. Many of us are supporting our children and have overnight become teachers. Others are really providing, healthcare services for family or friends that are sick or elderly. So we really have to think about how do we continue to provide the remote work capabilities whenever and however, whenever based on location and however, really regardless of device. How do we provide a consistent, seamless, secure experience across mobile, tablet, and even laptop, desktop form factor? At the same time, we have to, from an IT perspective, think about how do we deliver those services whenever and wherever? We've quickly seen that many organizations have moved to public cloud to provide additional capabilities, really very quickly extending their services almost in a burst capacity to support the volume of workers that they've had to extend IT services overnight. And lastly, how do we do this all securely? Really, as we deliver, this new way of working, we have to think about and really respond differently to the security needs. As many people are working from home, you now have to think about the sensitivity around intellectual property, privacy information. While you're working from home, you may be on speakerphones where folks are hearing things that they might not have heard in the past. You don't have the comfort of being in a corporate office where most people are under NDA and really respectful of the data that's being consumed. We've seen some organizations that have installed VPNs on home devices. How do you ensure that the personal browsing that's happening is not inflicting its way into your corporate sensitive data and information? We've even seen some people that have physically carried corporate desktops home, right? How do you continue to secure those services through VPN capabilities and other services that have quickly been deployed in this state of crisis? But the one thing that continues to resonate as we speak to customers in this new norm of remote work is that employee experience matters, and it matters more than ever. As people have gotten now comfortable with this notion of remote work, their expectations are exponentially higher. They want a great experience. They want that experience to be seamless across all devices. And they don't necessarily want to think about security. They believe that the IT department and the services they deliver are inherently secure. Whether that's on a mobile phone, whether it's on a tablet, whether it's on a corporate network, a personal network, or even a public network, people want to just be able to be productive, and they want to be served an experience that really satisfies them. As we've talked about in the past, most organizations have 5 generations of workers within the workforce. Those generations all have different expectations around the IT services that are delivered. Some of the new folks entering the workforce are digital natives, born digital. They've grown up experiencing technology. Where at the further end, we have folks that have tremendous institutional knowledge, but might be somewhat resistant to technology and technological changes. So we have to think about, how do we deliver an experience that satisfies everybody within your organization? And so when you think about Citrix and our delivery of our technology, it's really predicated on 3 key principles: experience, security, and choice. Let me talk a bit about experience and security. We often find in talking to customers that we find that they're on one end of the pendulum. Folks that are very, very focused on experience and really are really lax from a security perspective, providing their users the capabilities and the ability to do almost anything they need, whether it's leveraging consumer grade services to leveraging open devices. And on the other hand, we have folks that are highly, highly concerned about security and have things locked down to a point that they're inhibiting the user to be productive and have that elegant experience. At Citrix, we think you can do both. You can provide a delightful and elegant experience while providing the right level of security for the right user at the right time. And let's not forget about choice. We understand that most organizations are very quickly shifting from on-prem data centers to leveraging public cloud, whether that's Amazon, whether that's Microsoft's Azure, whether that's Google, whether that's a combination of all. We have historically been open and agnostic to technology of choice, and we continue to do that by providing the capabilities and the breadth to allow you to make those decisions based on the investment and the capabilities that you need to run your business. So when you think about experience, security, and choice, we really wrap that in 3 pillars. 3 pillars in the way that we deliver our technology. The first is workspace, the second is networking, and the underpinning is really analytics. And while some organizations have chose to consume those independently, we really do believe that the power is in a tightly integrated platform across all 3. Workspace being secured and delivered efficiently and productively from our networking technology, and leveraging all of that data being consumed in our analytics platform, providing proactive and secure visibility into everything that's happening within workspace. So let's take a minute and dive into the technology for a minute. If we think about workspace, there's one key word in this particular slide, and it's everything. If you think about Citrix historically, we've been amazing at delivering virtual applications and virtual desktops. But when you think about that comment I made earlier, we've had customers that were very easily and prepared to deliver remote from home, work from home, type situations for 10 to 20% of their workforce, because that's the way that those users traditionally worked. But now we understand that there are users within most organizations that require the consumption of IT services beyond virtual. They might only use SaaS applications. They might only use data. So Workspace provides you that tool to deliver all IT services, whether they're consumed on-prem, whether they're cloud-based SaaS services, whether they're CIF shares or file shares, or data sitting in other file enterprise-grade repositories. We deliver all of those services securely into Workspace, regardless of the user type or the user persona. And so it's one consumer-grade experience across all devices. We really made it simple, simplistic, and standardized across any device. Workspace looks the same whether you're on mobile, tablet, or desktop laptop form factor. It provides single sign-on capabilities, ability to easily search for information, and provide that contextual security and performance in the background without having the user have to think about what device they're on and how they need to consume and connect to various elements of technology. So let's think about in this for a moment. How do you know that your data is secure when employees are remote working? Well, it really starts with a zero trust approach, really leveraging the capabilities and the power of Workspace to centralize the delivery of all IT services, really removing the need for a VPN. Why require a VPN when it's difficult to consume? We've had customers come to us and tell us that, the performance and the experience across a VPN was less than adequate. We've actually had some people that have come to us and told us that VPNs have absolutely failed under scale. So why do we have to continue that approach? Let's find a more elegant, more robust, more scalable solution that really provides a very delightful experience that users want to use. Providing single sign-on capabilities to SaaS and web applications. Without having the user have to think about their password or the need to consume that service with a unique set of credentials. Just make it very simple. Authenticate once to Workspace and forget about everything that's in the background. Or how about mixing that web traffic? Why have web traffic that might be coming from a personal device, navigate and funnel through your data center and back out to the internet? What if we're able to offload that web surfing, really consume that on our cloud, and really extend more secure capabilities through your infrastructure? Continuing to offer additional analytics and security capabilities, and really providing a true zero trust approach to your infrastructure. Well, let's talk about one unique capability that we recently released in what we call Citrix Workspace App Protection. We've historically provided a very robust set of policies that will really dynamically respond to the 5 W's of access: who, when, why, what, and where. But we really didn't think about what's coming from the endpoint. What if there's malware? What if there's threats at the endpoint where somebody has installed a keylogger at the endpoint? What if they're trying to run a screen capture solution in the background? We've now developed technology that allows you to eliminate keylogging, allows you to eliminate screen captures. When those IT services are delivering through Workspace, you now have the flexibility and the policies to basically eliminate and stop any of those bad actors trying to consume or steal your information. At the same time, we've continued to extend security analytics. I like to use the analogy around our analytics platform as a credit card provider. As many of you have seen, the credit card companies are very quickly starting to learn your normal spending behaviors. And when they see anomalies, whether it's a purchase that typically exceeds what you normally spend, whether it sees that you're buying something or purchasing something where you normally don't purchase, you obviously normally get a text or a phone call asking you to approve that message. That's a very similar approach to what we're doing with security analytics. We're really trying to build a user score and really build a user persona to really understand what normal behaviors are for you as an individual. And then really alerting or extending policy when we see anomalous behavior. We can stop and we can basically terminate access. We can stop, prompt for second factors of authentication. We can apply additional levels of policy based on behaviors that we see that don't normally look like your typical behaviors. We also extend that into the application, really protecting applications from external attacks, right? Really mitigating, mitigation steps to enhance security and really, providing a deeper level of analytics around your data. understanding, if sensitive files or data is moving from one place to the other, which shouldn't naturally be happening. If a user is trying to access a set of data that they shouldn't be accessing, we have visibility into all of that and proactively can apply policy and or notify based on that condition. Now let's also think about, how do you know that you have the agility to respond to business needs? As we just said, this pandemic is something that was unprecedented and unseen. So we understand that organizations had to have the flexibility to very quickly navigate against across a variety of different data centers and or cloud providers. And that's where Citrix Cloud really provides that capability. For some of you that are aware, some that are new, we've really taken and extended the management control plane into the cloud. And that cloud now allows you to manage that, those data centers or those resource locations independently and seamlessly and centrally through one secure centralized console. But that allows you now to manage and secure your data across all data centers, whether you continue to run in your private data center, whether you continue to burst into or continue to leverage public cloud providers such as Azure, AWS, Google, etc. You can manage all of those cloud providers as one seamless central location. So it's really powerful, allowing you to have that single pane of glass, if you will, to manage and burst across all of those different resource locations and data centers. And we've seen that that's been extremely successful through this pandemic. But we also look at, networking. We've seen that, as organizations now burst to and shift to public cloud, the need to secure those technologies is more and more difficult than ever. But through our networking technology, we really believe that we provide that same unified control plane, providing the performance security for every user, regardless of location, and really providing you the choice across your different cloud providers. When we look at networks in the past, they look something similar to this. It was very simple. Users came into an office and consumed technology that was sitting in your on-prem data center. But as networks evolved, it started to look something like this, where we've seen delivery and consumption of public SaaS providers. We've seen users move or customers move to public clouds. You might have something that's sitting in a hosted private cloud. So it became more and more difficult to apply the same consistent security policies and posture across all those different clouds. Most organizations would put in independent point solutions to solve some of those problems. But we really think the benefit in our platform is that you can use one seamless, secure platform in the Citrix ADC to provide seamless, secure access to all those different cloud providers. And the benefit from our ADC platform is it's software first. So regardless of where you need to apply those various devices, it's very seamless, it's very secure, it's very simple as you manage all of that as one single entity. And as networks have evolved and cloud providers have evolved, we've seen the need for WAN optimization from an SD-WAN type technology. And then some organizations have started to deploy some of the public cloud technology on-prem, right? So the networking topology has continued to get more complex. But that's where we really think our investment and our innovation in Citrix ADM allows you to really manage this entire network topology and network infrastructure simply and securely from one common control plane, which is Citrix ADM. Whether your networks continue to shift, continue to move, continue to grow, continue to contract, you have the flexibility to seamlessly do that through the ADM infrastructure. So how do you know that your employees have the technology experience they need to be productive in a work from home capacity? Well, that's where we continue to enhance and innovate in our performance and operation analytics. Similar to what I talked about from a security analytics perspective, we continue to bring similar capabilities into the performance and ops analytics platform. For many of you that may be familiar with Citrix, we've always had a monitoring platform, but that monitoring platform typically looked at everything more holistically across the infrastructure as a whole. What these two technologies are doing is really allowing us to dive deep into the application, the network, the infrastructure usage, and really provide you with not only historical, but predictive analytics and insights around how is it performing, when might you need to add additional capacity, and really respond to the needs of the business much more effectively. We also provide deep analytics and visibility into the application performance, really understanding the end-to-end performance from a user to the back-end resources holistically, and really allow you to track application usage across your users. It's very interesting to see, amazing spikes in the consumption of some services without having that visibility, specifically in this pandemic. And as you now shift to the new norm, it's going to be more important than ever to really understand how well are things performing, having that baseline of information and really understanding when additional capacity is needed to support the additional user community that you'll have to support on a regular basis. And then really looking at application performance anomalies, really kind of understanding and building trends from a user perspective to help, really understand what does normal look like as a user interacts with an application, and then understanding when those anomalies are starting to happen and be more proactive in responding to those rather than waiting for a user to call the service desk or help desk and have to report a problem. So in summary, when we really think about what's happening in this new norm of remote work, we have to think about how people work. Work is shifting and changing on a regular basis. We now have user expectations that are significantly different than ever before. We have folks that will continue to go in the office. We have folks that will continue to work from home. But expectations are changing on a regular basis as we see smart vehicles continue to enter the market. People want to compute on those devices. They want the flexibility to compute on various technology devices, whether that's today's mobile phone, whatever the future mobile device looks like, a tablet, a laptop, a desktop. We have to be able to support those seamlessly, consistently, and securely across any platform. And we'll even see the continuation of wearables continue to grow in the information and the data sets that we're going to have to secure, in addition to solving for those expectations, becomes more and more difficult. And from an IT perspective, we continue to see an evolution and even more complexity enter the environment. We have public clouds, we have hybrid clouds, we have our private data centers, we have a proliferation of SaaS applications, we've got data providers. How do you, from an IT perspective, ensure that you can deliver those services securely and effectively and efficiently to all of those various endpoints that users now want to use, but do that in a seamless, consistent fashion, regardless of that endpoint? It's difficult. It's really difficult from an IT perspective. But we believe Workspace is truly a complete platform to work from home, work from anywhere, and really enable your remote workforce initiatives. As we talked about, we have the ability to deliver all apps and all desktops, regardless of whether they're in your data center, in a public cloud, and a combination of both. We're able to deliver and consume securely SaaS applications and web applications through Workspace. We provide content collaboration through our own technology, but also allow you to aggregate other forms of content collaboration repositories and deliver those seamlessly and centrally through Workspace. And then lastly, providing the security and analytics capabilities to really securely deliver and proactively monitor the delivery of those services through Workspace. And lastly, I'd be remiss to talk about the new intelligence capabilities that we continue to innovate and bring to market into Workspace. We've continued to look at how do we more effectively drive higher levels of productivity, efficiency, and engagement into the workforce. And if we can take and automate some of those kind of high volume, low value tasks that are done on a regular basis, providing approvals to expense reports, submitting PTO requests, just automating and really simplifying the need to provide some of those common tasks that are done across a broad base of the customer or your organization, for example. We truly believe that we could drive higher levels of productivity, engagement, and efficiencies throughout your organization. So with that, we really do believe that Citrix Workspace combined with networking and analytics is the platform to set you apart and really drive new areas of innovation, growth, and really allow you to set yourself up to really be provide a competitive advantage in your vertical, your space, and really provide the productivity tools that your users are going to expect and require moving forward. So I really thank you for joining me today. I hope you stay and listen to some of the deep dives that are forthcoming around the technology and really getting into a comprehensive and elaborate demo of all of this technology working together and continuing to talk about other elements of the technology moving forward. So thank you for your time, and thank you for listening.